On November 30th, 1948, as the sun began to set over Somerton Beach in South Australia, a quiet crime was committed that would echo through the decades, defying resolution and challenging the very limits of forensic science. This is the story of the Somerton Man, or as it became known in official police records, the Tamam Shud case. The day began as any other, but by 6:30 a.m. on December 1st, a horse trainer and a jockey discovered the body of a man slumped against the seawall, his head resting against the embankment. He was impeccably dressed in a suit and tie, a brown knitted pullover, and a fashionable double-breasted jacket, an unusual choice given the warm weather. Witnesses who had seen him the night before, around 7 p.m., noted he was lying in the same position, moving only to weakly raise and drop his right arm. They assumed he was merely drunk or asleep. The scene, however, was anything but ordinary. The man was clean-shaven, his shoes perfectly polished, and his body bore no obvious signs of violence or struggle. Yet, his pockets held a sparse and deeply cryptic collection of items: an unused second-class railway ticket to Henley Beach, a used bus ticket from the city, a narrow aluminum comb, a half-empty packet of juicy fruit chewing gum, a box of matches, and a packet of Army Club cigarettes containing 7 cigarettes of a more expensive brand, Kensitas. Critically, there was no wallet, no cash, and absolutely no identification. Every single label on his clothing, including the tailor's markings, had been meticulously and deliberately removed. The autopsy, conducted by Dr. John Dwyer, placed the time of death around 2 a.m., confirming the witnesses had seen him alive hours earlier. The initial cause of death was pronounced as heart failure, but the internal findings were immediately suspicious. The man's spleen was strikingly enlarged, nearly 3 times its normal size, and his liver, kidneys, and stomach were congested with blood. Crucially, the pathologist found no evidence of natural disease or any physical injury that could account for his sudden death. The contents of his stomach confirmed his last meal was a pasty eaten 4 hours prior, but extensive toxicological testing performed by the deputy government analyst, R.J. Cowan, failed to detect any known common poison. This led Professor John Burton Cleland, the pathologist, to conclude that death was almost certainly not natural, suggesting a powerful, fast-acting poison that metabolizes rapidly in the body, such as digitalis or strophanthin, a substance too rare and untraceable for the routine testing of the time. The coroner ultimately issued an open finding: death by an unknown substance, strongly suggesting suicide or murder by poisoning. A break in the case came in January 1949, when police located a suitcase checked in at the Adelaide railway station. Though the labels were also missing, the case contained an orange waxed thread, Barber brand, identical to the unusual thread used to repair the man's trousers, a highly specific match. Inside, 3 items of clothing bore the names Keane, Keane, and T. Keane. Though Thomas Keane was initially investigated, he was quickly dismissed as a suspect, and the clothing ultimately linked to his brother-in-law, Carl Webb, through genealogical research many decades later. Other contents included a stenciling brush consistent with those used by merchant seamen, and a table knife with the handle cut down, suggesting modification for concealed use. This luggage only deepened the mystery, pointing towards someone transient, perhaps in the military or intelligence, who wished to remain anonymous. The investigation's most enduring and famous clue surfaced in May 1949, when Cleland re-examined the body and discovered a hidden fob pocket inside the deceased's trousers. Deep within, rolled tightly, was a small scrap of printed paper bearing the two Persian words, Tamam Shud. The phrase translates to, "It is finished," or "the end." This fragment transformed the case, suggesting a poetic, intentional finality to the man's life or demise. Police launched a public appeal to find the source of the paper. This led to a local man coming forward with a rare copy of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, a collection of Persian quatrains, which he claimed to have found tossed into the back of his unlocked car around the time of the body's discovery. The fragment found in the Somerton man's pocket perfectly matched a torn gap on the final page of this rare 7th edition. Inside the back cover of the book, investigators found faint, handwritten indentations left by a pencil. These comprised an unlisted local telephone number and a complex 5-line series of capitalized letters. The phone number was traced to a former nurse and suspected wartime intelligence operative named Jessica Ellen Thompson, known to friends as Jestin. When shown the plaster bust of the deceased man, Thompson was reported to have seemed profoundly unsettled, yet she denied knowing him. She also claimed to not recognize the copy of the Rubaiyat. Her son, Robin, who would later become a renowned Australian ballet dancer, was born in 1946. For decades, due to his rare, distinctive ear and dental traits matching those of the Somerton man, an unconfirmed but widely supported theory proposed Robin was the man's son. The 5-line message remains one of the world's most frustrating ciphers. It reads, BGAB, MLIABO, ITANS, and MLIAANGI, a series of 25 letters. Despite analysis by naval intelligence and cryptography experts, the code remains unbroken to this day, potentially containing a last testament, an assignment, or the identity of a killer. Its existence cemented the Cold War spy theory, suggesting the Somerton man was a sleeper agent eliminated by a rival intelligence agency or by his own side. For over 7 decades, the Somerton man rested in an Adelaide grave, the stone simply reading, "The Unknown Man." In 2021, spurred by tireless advocates, the South Australian Attorney General granted permission for the man's exhumation. Using hairs recovered from the original 1949 death mask and advanced genetic genealogy, Professor Derek Abbott and genealogist Colleen Fitzpatrick made an astounding announcement in July 2022. The Somerton man had been identified as Carl Charles Webb, an electrical engineer and instrument maker from Melbourne, born in 1905. The T. Keane on the suitcase items was confirmed to be his brother-in-law, Thomas Keane. Records also showed Carl Webb was separated from his wife, Dorothy Robertson, who had moved to South Australia. The last known record of Carl Webb was in 1947. The identification of Carl Webb provides the first definitive answer to this cold case, closing the chapter on the unknown man. However, the fundamental mystery persists. If he was Carl Webb, a simple electrical engineer, why were all his identification tags removed? Why the coded message and the cryptic Tamam Shud? Was his death a suicide? A result of his estranged wife's move? Or was it, as the original coroner suspected, a meticulously executed murder? The name changes the context, but the central paradox of the case, the perfect presentation of the body versus the calculated removal of identity, remains the key to the ultimate truth. The Somerton man mystery stands as a stark reminder that even with modern forensics, some historical shadows refuse to yield to the light. The original cause of death is still formally unresolved, and the purpose of the cipher is unknown. The Tamam Shud case is a perfect testament to how a single, bizarre discovery can baffle generations of investigators. The sand of Somerton Beach gave up a body, but the waves of time have kept its secrets. Unresolved History is dedicated to bringing these incredible cold cases back into the public eye. If you found this deep dive into the Tamam Shud case compelling, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your engagement helps us bring more of history's most compelling and persistent mysteries into the light. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next chapter of Unresolved History.
Generate by AI.